My dear students, today I am going to give you a review on the book, the world famous chemistry book, Chemistry of the Elements by N. Greenwood and A. Earnshaw. The authors itself are very prominent players in the field of chemistry, and this book can be treated as the horoscope of chemical elements, and we are going to find why this book is known by that name. And welcome to my review. This is the book that I owned, and this is the cover page of the second edition book. I have purchased it from Amazon in 2014, and this book is saleable only in Indian subcontinent, and this book is translated to many languages in Asian, European countries because of its wide applicability, and can be treated as a perfect reference book for the undergraduate, postgraduate students for their studies, and a perfect reference material and a guide throughout the career of a chemist as well as teachers, professionals who are pursuing their career in chemistry field. So, move on to the details on the authors. The second edition, okay. About the authors, see, this is N. Greenwood, Doctor and Professor and a Fellow of Royal Society. Normal Neil Greenwood is an Australian British chemist, professor at the School of Chemistry, University of Leeds, UK, and the head of Inorganic and Structural Unit. He is having a wide, prominent role in chemistry field. He is wide-ranging researchers in inorganic and structural chemistry, especially in boron hydrates and other main group elements. Pioneered in the application of Morse-board spectroscopy to problems in chemistry. He was a prolific writer, inspirational lecturer on chemical and educational themes, and has held numerous visiting professorship throughout the world. He was appointed by the NASA as a principal investigator in the study of lunar rocks. He served as a chairman of the IUPAC Commission on Atomic Weights from 1970 to 1975, and also as a president of the IUPAC Inorganic Chemistry Division. So the author himself is that's a profile of the author, and his colleague Alan Earnshaw is a research student of N. Greenwood and associate professor of chemistry at University of Leeds, UK. So the intention of the two authors, especially in Greenwood, is the understanding, the knowledge on the chemical elements is very, very important, because the theory can changes, but facts so less often, because of the permanency in the knowledge and understanding of the chemical elements does not change us. Okay, so move on to the special features of the book. This book can be treated as the horoscope of chemical elements. That's indeed that we will going to discuss, and this book deals not only with inorganic chemistry but with analytical, chemical, physical, theoretical, industrial, organometallic, bioinorganic, or any other aspects related to the elements in periodic table. I've incorporated over 2000 new literature references in this second edition than that of the previous one, and also recent advances in the field of chemistry. Special emphasis on the topics organometallic chemistry of magnesium. Yeah, you know that magnesium, Grignard reagents and all. And there are so many other organometallic compounds formed by magnesium that we are unaware about that. So this book is a perfect treatise for those kind of topics. Detailed studies on the chemistry of alkali metals, detailed description of 20 coordination geometries and so on. Additional chapters on cluster chemistry, which include sulfur-nitrogen chemistry, heteropolyacid chemistry, bioinorganic systems, lower valent, lanthanide chemistry, and so on. Chapters on characterization of heaviest transactinide elements. These topics you will never find any other books available in this era also. And new sections on the recent advances in the chemistry, which include coordination compound of dihapto dihydrogen. Second, the fullerenes and their many derivatives. Thirdly, the metcars or metallocarbohydrates, and fourth, the high temperature oxide superconductors. So these are the new sections added into this chapter. We will discuss in detail about those chapters. Inside the book, 31 chapters and 7 appendixes with a span of 1305 pages. It's a big book. Long periodic tables, standard atomic weights of elements, 1995 as per. Recommended consistent values of some physical constants, details on International Union SI base, derived SI subunits. Details are elaborated in the in and out of cover pages. Yes. Addition of over 2000 new literature references, pictures, illustrations, diagrams, tables for explaining the detailed facts throughout the reference books. Okay. So we are moving to discuss the contents. It's a 31 numbers. So see the content. They have already given the preface to second edition and preface to the first edition, and move on to the content chapter number 1, the origin of elements, isotopes and atomic weights. So you can see that I found when I go through this book, I found that in a textbook devoted to chemistry of elements, it's indeed logical to begin with such a question, as that's the same that the authors also begins with. Where do the elements come from? Yes. How were they made? Why do they have their observed terrestrial abundances? What determines their atomic weight? And so on. Many questions. They have addressed everything in the first chapter itself. So we can treat this book in the beginning itself. We can treat this is just like the biography of each chemical elements, right? Each chemical elements in a separate chapters. Okay, so the first chapter itself gives an origin or the history of the chemical elements, their names, why they are invented, what's the importance and everything, the history behind it. The second chapter on chemical periodicity and periodic table, the common chapter that we have seen in in almost all chemistry textbooks. Chapter 3 begins with the first element, hydrogen. An introduction to the hydrogen, atomic and physical properties of hydrogen, preparation, production, uses, chemical properties, trends, protonic acids, bases, hydrogen bonds, etc. etc. This is the same pattern for all other elements. You can see the chapter number 4 on lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium and francium, the group number 1. The group 1. So, about an introduction to these elements, this group. Secondly, the elements, their discovery, isolation of each elements in that period, terrestrial abundances, production and uses of metals, properties, chemical reactivity, solution in liquid ammonia and other solvents, and what kind of compounds these elements form, the introduction, halides, hydrates, oxides, peroxides, hydroxides, oxoacid salts, other compounds, coordination chemistry of these first group elements, that is metal groups, imides, amides, lateral compounds and organometallic compounds. This is the same pattern. That means Greenwood and Earnshaw took just like a beads of a Rudraksha. Okay, just like a beads of Rudraksha to coin them into a mala. Just like that, he took each element and their properties are elaborated throughout the book separately in each chapter, and illustrations, pictures. They are using an enormous number of informative and authentic data to elaborate their history, their horoscope. Okay, that's the reason why we can treat this book as a horoscope of each element, and we can, if you have this book, it will be a gemstone, gem to your career in chemistry. So move on to the fifth chapter. We can see that the second group elements, alkaline earth metals, beryllium, magnesium, calcium, strontium, barium and radium. Similar pattern. The elements, their terrestrial abundances and distribution, they have illustrated in a very well manner. Production, uses, properties, chemical properties and their compounds. What are the compounds, how to prepare them, what kind of compounds and their reactions and their importance, they have elaborated in this book. And move on to the sixth chapter, a separate chapter on boron alone, because of the applicability of boron. and isolation, purification, structure, atomic and physical chemical properties, introduction, preparation, stoichiometry, structures of borides, and bonding, a separate section on boranes, and the chemistry of closo, nido, and intermediate boranes. So this chapter is very very important for the undergraduate and postgraduate students. Carborines, metallocarborines, boron halides, lower halides of boron, boron trihalides, and if any students or the researchers who are pursuing their career or researchers in this field, it is a perfect ready for them. You can refer this book for further studies on understanding the basics of the particular element. Move on to the 7th chapter, aluminium, gallium, indium, and thallium. The element history and their properties and what kind of compounds they are forming, and chalcogenides, compounds with the bond, nitrogen, phosphorus, arsenic, antimony, and bismuth, and there are some tricalcium aluminate and oxides, halides, hydrates, and organometallic, organoaluminium. Separately, they have taken each element for their organometallic counterparts. Move on to the 8th chapter, carbon. So we cannot expect an organic chemistry from this chapter. He has described the properties of carbon in a separate manner. An introduction, carbon, terrestrial presence, allotropic forms, atomic weight, physical property, fullerenes. Yeah, that is an addition to this second edition. The fullerenes and their derivatives, chemistry of the fullerenes, reduction of fullerenes, addition reactants, heteroatom fullerene types, clusters, chemical properties, graphite intercalation compounds, because nowadays the researchers in the field of graphenes, graphites, fullerenes are still in advanced way. Metallocarbohydrines and metcars. Metcars is nothing but an metal carbon allotropes. So hydrates, halides, and etc. organometallic compounds, etc. Chapter 9 on silicon, and you know that the silicon hydrates, silicic acids, and silicates, and their prominent roles such as silicon inorganic polymers, everything they have elaborated in a pictorial manner. And move on to the chapter 10, germanium, tin, and lead. As a similar pattern about the elements, their properties, move on to their compounds, metal bonds, and their clusters, derivatives, oxides, etc. Move on to the chapter number 11 on nitrogen, their element abundance and their properties, and the compounds that formed by the nitrogen, including nitrates, acids, ammonia, liquid ammonia, about them, their reactions, individual. They are picking each individual compounds that formed by the nitrogen or that a particular element and give a detailed elaboration information on that particular element, how they are forming, how we can produce it, and what kind of reactivity that they are giving. Everything they have elaborated in detail. Dinitrogen nitroxide, nitric oxide, nitrous oxide, dinitrogen pentoxide, nitrogen trioxide, dinitrogen tetroxide, etc. Oxo acids, hyponitrous acids, hyponitrates, nitric acid and nitrates, orthonitrates, etc. And chapter 12 on phosphorus and their abundance, because they have selected certain elements in a separate chapter alone because of their prominent role in the chemistry of element and in the chemistry world of chemistry. So elements of phosphorus, their properties, their compounds, phosphides, phosphines, phosphorus halides, trihalides, etc. and oxohalides, oxosulfides, oxoacids, cyclophosphoric acids, their polymers, and phosphocines, etc. organophosphorus compounds. And move on to the chapter number 13 on arsenic, antimony, and bismuth, the element properties and their mixed halides, organometallic compounds of this antimony, arsenic, and etc. Move on to the chapter number 14 on oxygen, their abundance, their compounds, coordination chemistry of dioxygen as a ligand, water, and physical properties, oxides, hydrogen peroxides, and each separate compounds were taken into study. Move on to the chapter number 15 on sulfur, the allotropes of sulfur, abundance, and their compounds are elaborated. You can see they are elaborated in a separate manner, and you can select. If you want to know about sulfuric acid in detail, you can take it. If you want to know about other acid counterparts, disulfurous acids. You can take the chapter wise indexes and you can find the detail. Moving to the chapter number 16 on selenium, tellurium, polonium, and chapter number 17 on detailed class on the halogen, fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, and astatine. And move on to the chapter number 18, noble gas, helium, neon, argon, krypton, and xenon, their formation, distribution, production, and uses, their compounds of xenon and clathrates and noble gases, other compounds. Finally, the chapter number 19 on coordination and organometallic compounds, they have shortened the subject because in every chapter they have elaborated the coordination chemistry background or coordination compounds of that particular element. So they have in the basic concepts and in detail they have elaborated the subject organometallic compounds, the ligand chemistry. You can see here the 19.7 part. The ligand chemistry, we can call it as a ligand chemistry. They have explained about monohaptoligands, dihapto, trihaptoligands, tetrahapto, pentahapto, hexahapto, heptahapto ligand. A ligand chemistry they have explained, and the isomerisms in coordination chemistry also they have explained. They have not detailed about the theories of coordination chemistry. Instead of that, they have detailed about the elemental parts, the chemistry, the coordination chemistry of the particular elements they have elaborated here, instead of moving through the theoretical parts. Chapter number 20 on scandium, yttrium, lanthanum, and actinium, their production and their compounds. Move to chapter number 21 on titanium, zirconium, hafnium. Chapter number 22 on vanadium, niobium, tantalum, chromium, and 23 on chromium, molybdenum, tungsten, that is the transition metal periods groups. 24 on manganese, technetium, and rhenium. You can find the entire history, that is the horoscope of each element. That I am repeating the word horoscope means because he has elaborated, the authors elaborated about the entire chemistry background of each particular element. Chapter number 25 on iron, ruthenium, osmium. In certain comments or reviews, they have considered this book as the Bible of inorganic chemistry. But in Google reviews and all, we can find that this book we cannot consider as a Bible. Instead of that, we can consider this book as a horoscope of inorganic chemistry or horoscope of chemical elements. Chapter number 25 on iron, ruthenium, osmium. Chapter number 26 on cobalt, rhodium, and iridium. 27 on nickel, palladium, platinum. Chapter number 28 on copper, silver, and gold. 29 on zinc, cadmium, and mercury. You can see the chemistry of gold. They have elaborated, in this case, the orophilicity and biochemistry of copper also elaborated. In the case of palladium and platinum also, they have elaborated about their pi allyl complexes and sigma bonded complexes. The organometallic chemistry of each element were described in separately under each chapter. That's the reason why they have not taken this chapter separately alone. Chapter number 29 on zinc, cadmium, mercury. 13 on lanthanide elements. See, you cannot find such an elaborative examination of the lanthanide element in any other book. Chapter number 31 on actinide and transactinide elements. That is the recently added elements in the periodic table. And see, there's an additional chapter on transactinide elements. Elements belongs to 104, 105, 106 and up to copernicium 112, and their preparation, their uses, and etc. are elaborated. And appendixes, so atomic orbital and their pictorial representation you can find. I will share the pages also. Appendix 2 on symmetry elements, symmetry operation, and point groups, some non-SI units. Appendix 4 on abundance of elements in crustal rocks. Appendix 5 on effective ionic radii, and they have added. And appendix 6 and 7 on the Nobel Prize in Chemistry, Physics field up to 1997. Okay, so moving to the appendixes, studies on appendix 1 on atomic orbital. You can see that the wave mechanical, the normalization radial functions of each subshells, 1s orbital, 2s orbital, 2p orbitals. They have given the values and their exponential polynomials and constants also they have given. This will add a reference material to those students who are pursuing in quantum mechanical theoretical researches and computational chemistry, and for those who are interested in theoretical chemistry also. And also you can find the pictorial representation, the models, schematic illustration of angular dependence functions of each orbitals. S orbital, Pz, Px, Py. You cannot find such pictorial representations in any other books available now. Moving to the appendix 2 on the symmetry elements and symmetry groups, operation point groups. The elements of symmetry and examples. You can find many examples and you can use this. I think this book is available in almost all library, because this those universities or institutions cannot avoid this book, because this is an important book for them for referring. Those who are pursuing their undergraduate and postgraduate, even the researchers, chemist teachers, for teaching their students. And appendix 3 on some non-SI units, physical quantities and their name of the SI units, and some useful conversion factors also they have elaborated in the appendix 3. Appendix 4 on the abundance of elements in crustal rocks in ppm, gram per ton. They have elaborated their abundance in crustal rocks. Appendix 5 on effective ionic radii in picometer for various oxidation states in parenthesis. You can see they are elaborated the values we can use for our calculations. And appendix 6 on Nobel Prize in Chemistry. The Nobel Prize result till 1997 they have collected and tabulated in this portion. And Nobel Prize for Physics also they have arranged till 1997 in the appendix 7 part. Inside the cover pages, this is the last page, the back page, and inside the last cover page you can see the international system of units, SI base units, SI supplementary units, derived units, etc. They have elaborated here. You can rely on these values, and also the recommended consistent values of some fundamental physical constants. They have given the exactness, the decimal values here also. You can rely on these values, and the Greek alphabets also they have given. The first page they have a long periodic table, and the values, the standard values, atomic number and their mu masses were described in the first initial pages of the book. Moving to the inside chapters, we will find what inside. If you are planning to buy this, I will give you an insight into this chapter wise. You can see the borane, the introduction of boranes. You can see the pictorial representation of boranes, how they are, how. This is a perfect reference materials for you for further studies. The boron, you can see the examples of borane and their pictorial representation, their allotropes, etc. The elemental chemistry is elaborated with a credible pictorial representation throughout the book. This book is a perfect reference guide for your advanced chemistry career. You can see the coordination of organometallic compounds they have elaborated here, and the ligand chemistry they have taken in a separate consideration. See the pentahaptoligands, they have pentahaptoligands, they have separately explained everything in a separate section. Heptahaptoligands, octahaptoligands, etc. using diagrams, pictorial representation, their mechanisms and their figures and all will give you an easy understanding of very tough subjects too. Coordination of organometallic chemistry, various coordination numbers till 20 coordination numbers they are discussed in this chapter. And move to a chapter on a particular element, selenium, tellurium and polonium. See, they have first given the introduction, history, abundance and distribution of each elements, and next move on to the production and uses of these elements. This is a similar pattern for all the chapters of describing the each elements. See the fluorine, the halogen, the chapter on halogens, fluorine. See the reactions of each element that they have described in detail. The silicate minerals, See the mica water layers, the schematic representation of the structure of muscovite mica and hydrated monomornellite and chlorite they have illustrated here. You can refer this picture for your more understanding on these subjects. Additional sections in this second edition, fullerenes and their derivatives, you can see a separate section of chemistry of fullerenes were added in the second edition. They have already mentioned about this in the preface to the second edition. And coordination chemistry of dihydrogen. See, they have added a separate subject section in the second chapter on hydrogen. Third chapter on hydrogen, the coordination chemistry of hydrogen. They have elaborated with the schematic representation, examples, and the substitution reactions with suitable examples also they have given. D2 coordination number, D4 tetrahedral coordination number, D6, D8, and D0, and O. And metallocarbohydrines. Yes, they have given a separate section for them. A family of chemical compounds with a generic molecular formula of M8C12. C means a carbon metal, where metal is a transition metal such as titanium, vanadium, zirconium, niobium, hafnium, and molybdenum, chromium, or iron. So they have given a brief on these metallocarbohydrines. These are the presently a research area for the inorganic chemist. And high temperature oxide superconductors, they have given a separate section for high temperature superconductors and especially on oxide superconductors. This is also a new advancement in the chemistry field. What's the price? I bought this from Amazon itself, the second edition. This is the newest edition, and I bought it from Amazon by around 2000 rupees. But now the value of the book, paperback value, is 7,261. That's the reason this book is a reference material, and I never recommend all to buy this book if you are pursuing your career after post graduation in chemistry field. This book is available in almost all library in your university, so you can refer this book there. Otherwise, if you want to purchase it, wait for some offer time. You can purchase it, or you can purchase it from the second sales. This book is currently unavailable in many online platforms. I have checked in Flipkart, eBay, and some other online platforms, but this book is currently unavailable there. So wait for the right time for purchasing. Otherwise, you can refer in the library, or you can buy it from second sales. And finally, move on to the conclusion. This book is an innovative textbook and reference material which invite the readers as well as the students, researchers, teachers into the exciting world of chemical elements in a balanced, coherent, and comprehensive way. Yeah, that's indeed true. The intention of the authors in Greenwood and Earnshaw are successfully transferred to the readers that the theory changes, but the facts so less often. A greater permanency and value attaches to a treatment based on the knowledge and understanding of the chemical element base. Understanding the base of the chemical elements is indeed definite for our future studies in chemistry, but the theories can be changed. That's the intention of the authors. That's truth, that truthfully inherent, that passed to the readers. That's the conclusion. This book can be treated as a horoscope of chemical elements. Indeed, when we move through the contents of the pages, you can clearly see that this is just like the Bible of the chemical elements or the periodic elements, or we can say that the horoscope, the biography of chemical elements. Due to its vastness of information elaborated about each chemical elements in each separate chapters, and also took as a perfect reference textbook to advanced chemistry studies during undergraduate postgraduate students. For professionals, chemists, researchers, and teachers, this book is a perfect companion of references and guide throughout their career. Each chemical elements are took like a bead that I have already mentioned, like a bead of Rudraksha for the mala bead, and critically analyzing on them using illustration, diagrams, tables, and experimental data to be found throughout. And each chapter is followed by a set of references to the recent literature, suggested articles for further reading, will add applicability of this book in research area also. I recommend to buy this book only if you are a seeker of chemistry. So having a book of this, it will invite you to the exciting world of chemical elements. Thank you very much.